Electoral reforms and ammunition to win 2023 elections. Will the violence stop? Will the intimidation stop? What are the options for the opposition? What can they do in order to stop this wanton violence? This is what we're going to be looking at today on JCTV Africa. Hello and welcome. Today we are diving into this wanton violence that we found in Chitungwiza. It is very, very uncalled for and happening in the broad daylight. And no condemnation from the party principals, no condemnation from the police, nothing. But how can we solve this problem? The opposition cannot expect the police to act on them. Number one, they should be able to approach the court on these videos that are there online. And these videos are acting as evidence. There is no reason why CCC should wait for the police to do its job. They should probe the police to do their job. Remember, as lawyers, they are officers of court. So they have the right to go and approach the court and say, we have a problem. Our client, who is the member who have been attacked, was attacked on such date, and we want compensation. We want that process to start to begin. So approaching the court, even the likes of what happened to Mbone Ncube, why is that important? These are avenues that the CCC can use in order to make the police account, because they will be traits of what happened. We can't just use the traits of evidence of violence without using the traits of what we put in court. So CCC or the opposition is not exploring that avenue of approaching the court, which is very, very important. Talking about courts, I approached one of the lawyers that was probing for the diaspora vote back in 2018. And I asked, what happened? What happened to the probing? Why did you stop probing? Yes, the 28 ruling was that they said they don't have enough resources. But if it had been done back then, probably in 2019, if they had probed to say the 2023 elections must have diaspora vote, the court could have made a ruling. I think that failing to use or to utilize or to direct funds towards approaching the courts is doing injustice to the diaspora vote and also the violence. Then let's come to the use of the parliament. 19 legislators are in parliament today. Why not have people vote or put a motion in parliament about electoral reforms? Because the commissioners like Priscilla Chikumba, they came from parliament. So if opposition parties are not going to push one, it's either for a pact or push in the parliament within the confines of the law to say, we want to see electoral reforms on A, B, C, D. Go into parliament, they put a motion, and those things are known and they are put on record. One thing that we could take from last Sunday's conversation that Brett spoke about was our opposition leaders, when they were still MDC, they did not probe for electoral reforms in parliament, even though they are in parliament, because parliament is an arm that they could use to probe for whatever they want. Let's talk of rural mobilization. There is this tweet by Secretary General Charlton Wende when he spoke about Kudamsa Siwa stopping the fundraising that they used to do. He says that they used to mobilize, used to fundraise for people who wanted to go into the rural areas to go and mobilize for voters. My question is, if we can look at those people that are in rural areas, yes, they don't have resources, but there are ease workers that are there. ZANU-PF uses ease workers. They use chiefs, they use the people that are there and they form districts and they form cells and everything. There are easy people that can be used in rural areas. Number one, teachers. Number two, NGO workers. Number 3, the community saving people like your nurses. Number 4, the community saving people like your extension officers. And there are a lot of people that can be used in communities in order, 1, to do information gathering. Number 2, they can also be people that are used to mobilize voters. How do they mobilize? They don't go around, gathering people. No. They talk to people on interpersonal level. Because nurses, they talk to people on interpersonal level. Teachers, they talk to people on interpersonal levels. And madumeni, they talk to people on interpersonal levels. Those are the people that CCC needs to approach. They use their resources with whatever they have there. If they need additional resources, and you can then try to fundraise for that. So there are easy workers that are available. And on top of that, there are easy voters, new voters, O-level and A-level students. Those are some of the easy voters. 1, help them to get their national identity cards. 2, assist those people that are eligible to vote to be voters, and they can be mobilized by their teachers. Are we trying to politicize the school? No. At school, a teacher can start to talk to few individuals. Guys, what do you think about voting? What do you think about this country? And they start to talk. It's not like he's influencing, but he just tells them, look, guys, we need to think about voting. And these young people are mobilized to vote in their school. That's how the Chimurenga was won. These young men that we see in these films, the Thames film of young people in A-level and how resolute they were. That's how the young people that are in school need to be resolute, and they need to be told, you need to vote. We cannot just focus on the youths that are in our community to say, let's vote, forgetting the people that are in school to make sure that they participate in the upcoming election. Empower enumerate these people. If you have and mobilize, you have a team of people that are mobilizing voters as these government workers that I've spoken about. These people, they need to gather information on who is registered to vote, who is eligible to vote, who needs to get a national ID, especially for young voters, or even those that are in the community that do not have a national identity card. So if they gather that information, then that information can then be passed on to the district, to the province, to say, we need resources of this nature. We need to have maybe, let's say, we need to have 2,000 new voters who need to be. We need 2,000 new voters who are supposed to get their national identity cards. And these new voters, how can we assist them financially to get those ID cards? That information needs to be passed on, so that when you approach a province or a constituency, you are not going to approach a constituency without information on how many voters do you have in that province. You are not just going to look at the numbers of ZEC. You have the numbers of the people that have registered to vote, and you have their barcodes that is gathered inside the people that I've told you about, and that's how you then find out, okay, who is eligible to vote, and how can we encourage them, and how can we protect their vote. These are the avenues that the CCC is not exploring. The avenues of free stuff, the avenues of approaching the courts, the avenue of making sure that they mobilize rural vote, not using funds or trying to say we don't have funds. No, use the resources that are already available as I always reiterate, that the liberation war was won by guerrillas who didn't have resources, but they managed to use the resources that they had, the small little resources that they had, and worked with the community. And they had the mjibas, they had the chimbwidos that would cook for them, and all these people that they used in order to win the war. Why not CCC do the same? Isn't it, Chamisa said, we're getting into the fourth Chimurenga? What happened to that mantra? If you want to win Chimurenga, you need to have all these resources around you. Tell me what you think in the comment section about all this. Do you think CCC is doing enough? 1, to stop the violence. Number 2, to mobilize rural voters. And number 3, to use all the tools that are at their disposal for free for them to win the 2023 elections. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to JCTV Africa. Follow us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I will see you next time.